everybody, this is the M Crew Dude. In my search for shows that are worth watching to make the most out of my YouTube Premium trial, I found a surprising amount of creativity among some of the shows, but one that demonstrates a surprising amount of chaotic imagination is Weird City, created by Charlie Sanders and Jordan Peele. This is a science fiction anthology series that spans for only 6 episodes but follows a bunch of different characters. The stories are set in a city with a large border simply called the Line built down the middle. The poor working class live on one side, while the richer folks live on the other and have all kinds of high-end technology and apps that run their lives. I'm starting to think that this might be a metaphor for people who subscribe to YouTube Premium. The 2 free episodes will give you a good taste of the show, and you will know right away if you're going to like it or not. The first episode follows a young man named Stu, played by Dylan O'Brien, who is looking for love when his closest friends are in relationships. One friend tells him about this new dating program called The One That's the One, where clients' minds are scanned in order to find their best match. Stu signs up for this, and when he returns home to wait for his date to arrive, it turns out that he is nothing like what he was expecting. A much older man named Bert, played by Ed O'Neill, shows up, and both of them try to figure out what went wrong with the program. Eventually, Stu decides to casually invite Bert to dinner, and it turns out that the two have a lot in common. They quickly start a romantic relationship, despite both claiming they weren't gay, but whatever. So they meet each other's families, and after 6 months pass, the two are happily married. Whoa, that was a bit of a jump. Apparently nothing of interest happened, and we don't even get to see the wedding. It just sort of happens all of a sudden. So the technicians from the dating service arrive at their house and explain that there was a mistake in the calculation when they were paired, and have to forcefully split the couple apart. The episode ends when they both meet up again, and decide to run away and live the rest of their lives together. This is actually the only time in the episode where they share a kiss on screen. Ed O'Neill appeared on The Ellen Show to talk about this role, and I'll let you look it up because there's actually a really funny story behind it. The second episode features a new cast where an awkward young man named Tawny, played by Michael Cera, desperately looks for social interaction to a point where he joins a meetup group for recovering addicts, even though he has no addiction outside of eating blue worms like some kind of freak. The group kicks him out, and he soon comes across a gym run by a trainer played by Rosario Dawson. Tawny signs up for an extended membership, and starts getting so involved in the gym that he starts to act as a trainer himself. The plot starts to get even more absurd when he turns the smoothie refrigerator into a terrarium for the worms, which create an enriched soil to produce nutrient-enhanced fruits. Tawny goes so far that he starts to wear the same makeup as the trainer and gets the same tattoo, which causes her to reject him from the group. Tawny then kills the trainer by feeding her to the worms, which turn her into a nutrient-enriched byproduct that Tawny uses in a new line of smoothies. That got dark pretty quickly. That concludes the free content, but I was interested to see what the rest of the show was like. The celebrity cast do well in their roles, and the world is built pretty well with all kinds of bizarre technology that try to serve as a social commentary. The biggest issue I have with the show is that it has very poor pacing. There is little time for character relationships to properly develop, and some scenes just abruptly end in order to rush back to the story. The whole world is rather weird, for lack of a better term, and we do have plenty of time to explore it, but unfortunately we don't get a lot of time to explore the relationships of the characters, as we only have about 20 minutes of screen time at best. It's like we're just getting to know these people, and then the conflict is over just as quickly as it started. The remaining 4 episodes range from being good to just plain awful, so I'll just cover the rest of them. In episode 3, a high school graduate named Reina, played by Auli'i Cravalho, Moana, heads off to college with the hopes of one day getting a better career and bringing her family above the line. She breaks up with her boyfriend, who is smoking weed with his car, and I mean the car is smoking weed with him because that's just the kind of world we live in, and starts dating someone new right away. In sort of a rushed fashion, he leaves the room and sends Reina text messages, so the two start sexting, and not long after, she gets pregnant with an emoji baby. To think that someone actually wrote this. This is apparently some kind of bizarre experiment to either start a new race, or an evil scheme for a live-action reboot of the Emoji Movie. It's not really well explained, but Reina sends the guy the image of the ultrasound at the last second, so he ends up giving birth to the emoji, which looks like the spawn of Satan. In the 4th episode, we follow Laquia and Jathrin, a married couple who purchase a new smart house with an intelligent AI voiced by Mark Hamill. Things briefly start off alright, but the new house becomes clingy and attempts to force the women to stay inside because he has not gotten over his last owner. What's hilarious is that the house gets drunk during a house party and starts causing a scene until one day he eventually tries to burn himself down with the couple inside. I think it's pretty funny, but I think the Disney Channel movie Smart House did a much better job at writing a convincing story around it. Unfortunately, the show gets progressively worse in episode 5 when we meet two couples who are watching an ad about sponsoring a poor child in need by sending credits to them. They decide that rather than sending credits, they should go below the line to meet a child to care for because it would allow them to have a personal interaction. So they go below the line and steal a van for no real reason before finding a young boy that they abduct and bring back to their house to care for. Clearly not understanding what sponsoring is. The characters here try to be funny, but they really have no personalities outside of being stupid. Steven Yeun plays a character who carries around a cantaloupe, which is his only character trait. That's not me saying that. The show announces it at full volume.
It's like Barsley, do you literally have any other personality trait other than that cantaloupe?
What? Yes, I have these glasses.
Despite how absurdly stupid and irrelevant the episode is, I will say that it is the best paced out of all of them. The story doesn't jump around to transition between scenes, and there is a solid beginning, middle, and end. The 6th and final episode is easily the worst of all, and I was actually surprised to see that it was given a TVMA rating unlike the others. I guess because the F word is dropped a couple of times, which easily highlights the hypocrisy of YouTube in a show that they own. The premise is that a show is being filmed about two criminals, but the characters start to get a sense of self-awareness and realize that they are trapped in a television show. Sadly, this entire episode was a huge waste of potential, as all they do is eat at a break table, talk about their own exposition, and talk to the film crew before murdering one of them for some unexplained reason. A few times, they cut to some in-universe commercials about things that we've seen in previous episodes before coming back, so I'm not really sure when the characters are supposed to be filmed for the episode because the writing no longer follows its own rules. They call attention to the profanity and assume that they're on a premium cable, but then start censoring themselves for no reason, which makes no sense at all. Eventually, the two decide to finish the show so that they can wake up as their respective actresses again, and so they do that and die in a CG explosion. The actresses attempt to leave and realize that they are trapped within the studio, and the episode ends with a Rosebud reference, and that's it! All in less than 18 minutes. What the hell was that? For a concept that had a lot of creative potential, they explored nothing that would have made it interesting. It would have also helped if there was a coherent plot, but any story they may have considered easily got lost in the chaos. There were times where I thought they were going somewhere, but then they just drop it in favor of doing something stupid and illogical. I was perfectly fine with the surreal humor up to this point, because it at least had its place and worked in well with the narrative to make some form of sense, but this just feels like a jumbled mess. All in all, this is a mixed bag of a show. I thought a lot of the concepts were creative and funny, and the cast is great. The world building is pretty good at times, and I like how some characters return in later episodes to give the world a sense of connectivity. As I said, the pacing is all over the place and often takes away from character building moments, but not every episode hits. I would say that out of all 6 episodes, that the first 2 are best and worth watching. Unfortunately, they are the only free ones, but they do have the most engaging plot lines. It's a strange world that I would actually want to see explored in a second season. This is the M Crew Dude, signing off, wishing you all a very pleasant day.